a regime that will not guarantee security of its citizens and their property does not deserve to be in office or to exist. That's the first charge. Over whom are you governing if it's not on behalf of the people? If you can't secure them, you don't need to be there. And you need to maintain law and order. The sort of insecurity we are having, and you hear the speaker telling Parliament that they should secure themselves. What about us? The country is as secure for the citizens as for the MP. Even if you have 20 bodyguards and there is insecurity outside, you're not secure. I don't know why they don't get it. Get the country to be secure. You will not need to divert police to guard individuals. You will be as free as everybody else to move around. So this is bad governance that has gotten us where we are. And I'm glad this is the question you're asking today. The problem with Kenya, put in a nutshell, is bad governance. That is what is affecting our health service, our security, our education, our economy. Because when you divert funds and they don't go to serve the people, or are not, if it's for development, they are not invested, they've gone to fatten bank accounts of the people. You are literally eating the jobs of the young, which could be created if the money was invested. And then you're shipping them to do menial jobs abroad. No country can develop without its human resource. So we should be creating an enabling environment for the economy to grow, for industry to grow, for little startups, the SMEs to grow. And by the way, in case anybody didn't know, the SME collectively are the greatest investor in Kenya.
Of the economy, essentially.
So when you are going to give 20-year tax holidays to those who invest 3 billion, that's what I saw the suggestion, then, and you're overtaxing your largest and most dependable sector, the SME, it means your reasoning is upside down. First, look at your most dependable and your employer, and those are Kenyans. Tax us in a way we can afford, not in a way that you starve us, you make us unable to pay for the education of our children, you are not even giving us services commensurate. That is terrible governance. And it will grind this country to a halt economically. Today, even the middle class are no longer smiling. People who have mortgages have difficulties in paying them. People who have car loans have difficulties paying them. If you look at the pages of the newspaper, you'll see the auctioneers and all that.
Yeah, we spoke about that earlier. Yeah.
It means poverty is increasing, not decreasing. And then we see our leaders in conspicuous consumption. So they are not only taking from us, but they're showing us, they're flaunting it in our faces and sort of saying, utadu. This is where we are.
And you see, flaunting it, they have, because we also go back to the June 25th protest and what the young people and Kenyans pretty much are pushing for, that you are choking us with the taxes that you are imposing on us. And what happened immediately, even if you go a little bit back when the president visited the United States and the 200 million shillings jet and what that conversation happened, then the Gen Z protest, and the president stood outside State House and told Kenyans, moving forward, we will tighten our belts, we will live as per our, as according to our means and whatnot. But then again, a little bit later, the president himself goes against the promises that he gave to Kenyans, that there will be no harambes. He is chief harambe person out there going against what he promised. And one begs to ask, if the head of the state himself cannot live up to his promises, why would any Kenyan out here give him any time with regard to what he says? Can any Kenyan trust the president or the leadership of the country today?
This is precisely the problem. For the first time, State House is occupied by a person who will lie continuously without batting an eyelid, who will tell Kenyans one thing and do another. Even when he sacked his entire cabinet, he had promised he's cleaning up. He brought more of the same. And the story continues. Kenyans, we are on our own. And we have to use the sovereignty that is entrenched in the Constitution, the sovereignty of the citizen, to change this situation. And I do remember that the call of the Gen Z was transparency and accountability. And I want to say that I'm glad the seeds they sowed, unfortunately watered by the blood of the Gen Zs, are germinating, because now the religious leaders, and especially the Christians, because that's where Harambes occur. I haven't heard of Harambes in a masjid. Have now started coming out themselves to say, we don't want your money. Do not come to do this in our forums. Even though it's not everyone 100%, that echoes the calls of the Gen Z when they were saying occupy the churches.
Right.
It is not 100%, but it's beginning. If you listen to the conversation with the people and the conversation we have to have so that we can, as a people, elect good leadership, is the role of money in Kenyan politics. Do we want to continue with transactional politics, which makes us get the worst of the worst? Is it about money? If your church is given 20 million and promised 100, will that transform your access to health, your children's access to education? Will it transform your security, the core things that a state must look after, or your cost of living? Those are the questions. So what we need from leadership is not money. We just need their service. And we have to ask, who then should fund our politics?
I think if we can get, Martha, you've been in this position for a while.
Yeah.
And if we can be real about these conversations that we have, and that, I've written down what you've said, that the seeds they sowed, watered by the blood of the Gen Z, are starting to germinate, and they're starting to grow. That we see a situation where, more often than not, political expediency, personal growth, personal influence far outrides and outweighs the need for the protection of the livelihoods of people, or good governance, or things like that. And we have to ask the question that why? And beyond the why, who is the one then who is going to come in, banded together with others, who will actually realize, acknowledge, and then begin to act on and implement those things which will foster and maintain this livelihood that we talk about? Because it's not more than that.
Let us not ask who is the one. That's where we start going wrong. Let us ask who are the ones. Why? In Kenya, we concentrate on one post, the presidency. I want to urge us to look at the 6 elections that are done together. Your most important person in your day-to-day agenda is your governor and your MCA, who form the county government. Health, education infrastructure, other infrastructure like water, roads, and all that belong to the county. Markets, which are a livelihood, all those things, even agriculture, belong to the county. So you must start thinking. Think small to begin with. Think about your ward. Who should be the leader? Who can lead reforms in your ward? And if in Nairobi, 85 wards are concentrating on finding the best leadership for themselves moving forward, that makes the Nairobi County. And if we have good MCAs, the governor they get will be held to account by this. So think in the first instance of your MCA, of the governor, you've sorted your county government. Then go ahead and think about national leadership. Think about your members of parliament, who are the constituency MP, the women rep, and the senator. You're thinking about them because they're the ones who will hold the national government to account. And the senator will preside of the share of revenue that comes to your county. The national parliament will also, the National Assembly will also be in that debate. So think about them as the one presiding over the share of the national cake and also as watchdogs. So get men and women of character. Then finally, get a good president because they're the ones driving policy and the governance direction in the country. But therefore, if you think of who is the one, you are going wrong. Who are the ones? And you be very deliberate, very intentional about each of the posts. And for all of them, you need people of integrity. You need people of proven track record. And when I say this, it doesn't mean only those who have been in power. A fresh person who has never been near an office has a record with the community. You are known in your community, whether young or old. What type of a person are you? Are you a people person? Are you a person of empathy? Do you help? Do you connect with the people? What is your character? You know, there must be something you are known for by even your schoolmates and those who know you. Let's go for people of character. But what we've been doing in Kenya is that when people flaunt wealth, when people come with sloganeering, what we do is even delete the previous history we knew. So you tell people this person is corrupt, they tell you better that one who shares with us, you know? Reason is thrown out of the window. I am saying this is the good window between now and sometime like now next year, when people are calm and can reason, when people can assess the hardships they are going through, and when we can tell each other, if we don't change, we shall go deeper into this hole. Things will get worse, not better. Yet we have the power to transform. We need this conversation, the role of money in politics. Who will fund the parties and who will fund candidates? Because if cartels fund the parties and candidates, cartels will come to draw their pint of blood. And that's your resources, good governance out of the window. People, membership of the party and its supporters should fund it. And it doesn't mean you stop doing the things you do for yourself. It means if a majority are funding, a little from each person will do. It is the same people who must fund candidates. Unless if you're taking it that coming into a leadership office is a job where you go to look for money for yourself to fill the gaps you created during the campaign period. I came into politics when people were not deep in transactional politics in the 90s. As a young woman, I was able to defeat an entrenched and very wealthy person. The youth funded me, you can say that, because when they volunteer to go door to door, when they volunteer to guard me and my family home against threats, you can quantify that into money. So I'm a product of the youth. I came in as a youth, a product of the youth. I want to tell the youth, those who feel called to serve, youth of integrity, you can come onto this scene without money, but your campaign will be longer than the campaign of those who come oiled. It took me the whole of 92, from January to December, but I won.
It's true.
Going round small, to football teams, to where, you know, I got support, massive support, and I won. And thereafter, I won 3 more elections, making a total of 4 consecutive terms. I want to tell not just the youth, even those of my age and the middle age, those who feel called upon to serve, you don't have to have money. I have gone through elections. I never have money in a place kept. I always mobilize.
Right.
Resources are to be mobilized. Be bold. But I'm also telling Kenyans, let us have a culture of not expecting money from the party or the candidate. It is you who funds your muradi. If you have a water project, an electricity project, if you're repairing a section of the road that is bothering the neighborhood because the authorities are not responding, it is you who even physically carries the pebbles, the stones to go and put there.
Together.
So the same, the party and the campaign of an individual. Hii ni muradi ya kuboresha uongozi Kenya. Muradi haiwezi ikakupatia pesa. Ni wewe utatoa pesa kwa muradi na jasho lako.
Okay.
So we need to change. Transformation begins with you and me. This is where we must start. And if we don't, those who have robbed us, then we'll be the front runners.
And can those who are looking at a fresh face into Kenya's politics actually go it alone without those who've been there before? I want us to take a break and come and look at that, because it has formed the basis for a lot of already political friction between what you would call the classes of age. Martha Karua, the party leader for the People Liberations Party, is here with us this morning, and we're looking at some of these issues around good governance. Which way Kenya going into the next election cycle? She says it's not just one person, but that it's all the people across the spectrum that need to be looked at or looked into. We will continue this when we come back from this break. Martha Karua with us in the Situation Room this morning in the hot seat. We'll look at some of those issues and a little bit more when we come back after we look at weather and traffic, and it continues after this.
As the sun rises, so do we, as we trust it to rise and set without any worries interrupting your day. StarTime's home solar solution with solar panels, hybrid inverter, and lithium battery, powering your prosperity and happier life, empowering you to do the things that really matter. A complete and reliable home solar solution. Call us today. StarTime Solar. Power your life.
Kenya thrives on agriculture, and it's very fruitful. From the highlands that we grow our coffee and tea, all the way to the resilient northeastern part with our livestock, and not forgetting the breadbasket in the Rift Valley.
If you're not able to meet an agronomist, you can even view channels whereby you can start from the bottom.
Maisha ya siku hizi ni kujituma. Hakuna haja kwenda kutafuta kazi, na kazi yenyewe iko hapa kwa mchanga.
At Farm Kenya, we celebrate those who make it happen. Farmers who innovate, adapt, and guess what? They're able to feed the nation. Together, we are growing nutrition.
Together, we are growing agriculture.
And together, we are growing Kenya.
Shiba, Utashiba, Fugo Calf Starter Pellets, Calf Grow Pencils, Heifer Grow, Dairy Milk Plus, and Maxi Milk Plus, products of Unga Farm Care.
I don't accept that.
Get ready for an unforgettable experience. At KTN, we've got it all. Hold tight, because the adrenaline rush is real. Our action-packed films will have you gripping your seat. Craving suspense? Hungry for adventure? Or just looking for that perfect escape? Whatever your mood, KTN is your ultimate destination for a movie experience.
did this. I put together football tournaments, and that's how I was able to build social capital that then allowed you to get into the place where you won 3 elections thereafter and then rose.
By the way, I didn't even put football tournaments. I
Others
would go
did.
where people are playing football to speak to them. Yeah, with what could I have put football tournaments
together?
So what I would like to say is this: I dislodged an oldie as a youth. Anybody who feels that we are occupying their space as oldies, come, dislodge me. Dislodge the next person. It's a competition. Nobody's going to give you on a platter. And I want to say they are young, intelligent, well-informed people of character who can drive this nation. But they're also young, informed, but rotten. You'll find people of integrity in all ages. You will find rotten people in all ages, from the young to the old. And we know that, and we've seen it. So what I would say, it's not all about ageism. It's about people of character, people of integrity. Ask and learn of each candidate. Elect them because you truly believe that they can drive the transformation that we need. But I also want to admit, we cannot have a government that does not include the youth. They are a significant, if not a super, they actually are a super majority. But like in a government, we also cannot have a government of youth only that excludes everybody else. Kenya is a family. It's the largest family unit we have in the country. You start with your own family, your clan, the community around you, and it gets bigger. The biggest family is Kenya itself. And that family is going to have all demographies. It will have the youth, it will have the middle-aged, it will have the oldies, it will have people with disabilities, it will have all shades. You never go to throw overboard your parents in a family business because you have become of age. You work together. So I'm saying get people of integrity in all the posts, and be they young, be they middle-aged, be they old, and let them steer this nation. Let those who feel called upon to serve, not those who feel called upon because they think it's a glamour job, which will allow self-aggrandizement. Let there be a call to service. And for those of us who've been on the seat, ask us to account for the period we were there. I'll be very happy to do that. I haven't been in an elective office for the last almost now 13 going to more years.
Yes.
My voice has not faded because it's not about money or position. It's a calling to serve my nation. Otherwise, all this time I've not been on your pay. I should have disappeared. I haven't.
Indeed.
So count the record of everybody. Ask me to account for when I was water minister, and I'll tell you of the water sector reforms. Ask me to account for when I was Minister of Justice, and I'll tell you the biggest achievement is leading the enactment of a framework that helped, legal framework that helped to complete the constitutional process. Ask me to account as a parliamentarian, and I'll tell you that I've stood for rule of law and human rights and democracy, even before I entered Parliament, through Parliament. And my last days in Parliament as a backbencher, I also stood for the Constitution. And I will even tell you that marketing the Constitution to the people and campaigning for it to pass, I'll tell you I was right in the midst. I'll tell you I've been in civil society. I'm ready to answer all those hard questions.
That's true.
Take us through all that interrogation. And for those who have not occupied any position, interrogate how they fit into the communities they're in.
So then one must ask, even as we do that, Martha, is that, it's said that, a picture says 1,000 words, can tell 1,000 words, you know. So when we see you in the company of others who would be running for political seats, at one point or another,
Yeah.
who want to be president, who want to be
Yeah.
the next, next big thing to hit town, one would have to ask the question, Martha, that folks who may have a checkered past,
Yeah.
you are in their presence.
Yeah.
What does that mean, or what does that portend?
What it means is that we have a coalition, or we are building one, where we have agreed that we will be guided by our collective values. Article 10 on national values and principles of governance. So it doesn't matter where you are coming from, but once we meet together, our North Star is Article 10. That moving together, this is how we espouse. And because to defeat a dictator or an authoritarian rule like what is Dr. Williams Ruto's rule has become, people who personalize rule and are not following any rules are authoritarian. To defeat such an entrenched system, entrenched in 2 years, but now having deep roots, we need each and every vote.
So you're saying all hands on board, no matter
No, I haven't finished my sentence.
Okay, sorry.
We need everybody on board. And we never ask for your CV before you vote. The duty of scrutinizing any candidate who offers them for any post, the 6 of them I said, belongs to the public. So if Martha Karua says, I want to be the chief executive of Kenya, which is president, scrutinize me. If Kamau says, or Kiprotich, that they want a post, whatever the post, it could be CEO, it could be MCA, put them under the same, but we must build a coalition guided by the desire to remove the government in power and to install a better government. Remove the other side of the coin, better. We collectively as Kenyans must assess the better and put in the better. So a coalition to drive out, to remove this vehicle which is stuck in the mud and which requires heavy lifting. All of us together, and we move together that way. But the Constitution doesn't change, it's constant. So the demands on electing good leadership remains, and we have bound ourselves by the values of the Constitution. So this conversation is to remind Kenyans, you are the ones who will decide who occupies the seat from MCA in your area. You will make the county government and you will make the national government. And Kenya is going to be transformed, a ward at a time, a county at a time, and a nation. Counties making the nation. Yeah.
So here's a question of the need to have a good leaders through a political system comes forth the conversation around political parties and how they're managed.
Yeah.
And this goes into place during nomination, and we see situations or reports of someone was given a certificate simply because they paid, or someone was, for some weird reason, never was present in the party registrar. And also the purpose and the role that a political parties registrar plays in making sure that the political parties that are there in the country play by the rule is equally important as other justice system in making sure that we have the best politicians, EACC to do its job, the DCI to do their job. So if you look at the entire system that brings forth proper politicians, clean politicians, it's a role that everybody must play.
Indeed.
Yet we don't see that happen. So as we start the conversations towards 2027, Kenyans need to push to ensure that everything is done by the book?
Absolutely, and thank you very much for bringing that angle. It goes to the individual responsibility by all the people in the governance and electoral system. If you're holding a position in a public space, I start with public, but it's, so to speak, it's any space, but I'm emphasizing on public space. You who is a doctor somewhere, you who is a teacher, you who is a presiding officer in a court, or an electoral official from the clerk to the commissioner, you are bound by the Constitution to act in the best interests of Kenyans. And a country is as good as the people who drive it. A constitution is as good as the people who implement it. You as an individual, me and you, we have a role in driving this nation. Not just holding leaders to be accountable, by accounting for our own actions. So if you're driving corruption, and corruption is not just taking money, it's receiving our salary while doing your own things and not serving us. It's a form of corruption. Members of parliament must listen to this. Having no quorum all the time, because you have become tenderpreneurs and you are chasing tenders, in the very same government you should be holding to account. At the county and at the national level, you're stealing for us. We pay you every month for work not done. It's a form of corruption, very hurtful form of corruption. So we are saying, as individuals, we need to change. Kenya is where it is, not just because of the leadership, but because of me and you as a voter, deciding not to look at the track record and qualifications, because of me and you as professionals, as people in authority, abusing our authority and not acting in the best interests of Kenyans. It is a blot on our professionals. They are the ones, we are the ones, I'm a professional, we are the ones manning the judiciary.
Yeah.
We are the ones manning the IEBC. We are the accountants that try to hide the theft of our money. We are the road engineers. We are the everything that is driving this country. Let us reassess and look at our roles. And that's where I like to say, because the citizens say, viongozi ni wale wale, nyani ni wale wale, na msitu ni ule ule. Nataka kuwakumbusha, the citizens ni wale wale. Wale munapitisha watu ambao hawafai. Wale mnasema better our thief. Let us admit collectively, we have all been responsible for what is happening.
Kenyans want a better Kenya.
Yeah.
And you know, I've often been of the position that, to an extent, it doesn't matter who is in that position.
Yeah.
That if that person is doing what Kenyans need, and we had a conversation here a couple of days ago about what Kenyans really want.
Yeah.
Kenyans are not looking for some lofty pie in the sky idea about, okay, let's build, waterways above and Kenyans want the basic. Can I be safe that my child can walk from point A to point B and nothing will happen to them?
Yeah.
Can I be sure that my young adult will not be abducted because they've opened their mouth in protest?
Yeah.
Can I go to hospital and make sure that I will get services?
Yeah.
Can my children go to school in a public school and the capitation that was supposed to be sent from government will actually get to them? Can I, as a budding entrepreneur or a business woman or whatever, then work within a conducive environment where this business can flourish? These are the things that Kenyans want.
Indeed.
All the rest, in as much as they may be great, for now in this space, are trappings. So the question is then, the people who are there or the people who are putting themselves up, are they able to deliver this very basic? If the basic cannot be delivered, I don't think anybody has any business doing anything else.
Let me speak for myself and say this, because I've expressed my desire to be CEO.
Yes.
I would promise that the Karua administration would ensure that there is a just economy that works for everybody, not just for a clique of elites. A just economy is the one that prioritizes the needs of the people, where revenue collected is applied for the priorities of the people, the basics, which are in Article 43. Health, let's start with security, health, education, and infrastructure, and also to ensure that people have access to food. Those are the basics in life. We need also to have just taxation, which means that you're not taxed beyond what you can endure. Right. Taxation is not a punishment. It's a contribution to the services that you enjoy. You tax people, you must have commensurate services. But in Kenya, Taxation has become a punishment and no commensurate service. You cannot do those things. You cannot have a just economy without good governance, because we started there. That's how the funds are siphoned out. Having, piling debts on Kenyans' present and future generation is not how you run a just economy, especially when that debt is not used to develop, but ends up creating billionaires and millionaires and pampering the comfort of a few. In fact, the Constitution and the laws tell you that you cannot borrow for recurrent expenditure. So it's bad governance. Even the matter of debt is bad governance. When you have enforcement of the laws across the board, that is the only way you can stop this entrenched impunity. Make sure that the systems work. The justice system runs, not cases staying for so long and then disappearing. Not when the wealthy are convicted, they get out the same day. When the chicken thief is languishing, is having the law apply across the board. So interview us. Anybody who says they want a position, whether MCA, conduct thorough interviews. The way you conduct for your milkman, and if you heard that the milkman had stolen just a small liter of milk and from your neighbor, you would not employ them. But for national issues, we gloss things over, yet these affect millions. A bad leader is bad even to their own community. The ills of Shah Chief are countrywide. Anything good affects everybody.
Indeed.
And positively. The way when Kibaki said free primary education, it wasn't for only those who supported him. It was for the whole
everybody.
country. When Ruto says punitive taxes, he doesn't use the word punitive, but that's what they are. Everybody is suffering. It's not a question of communities. So do not look at the community the person comes from. Look at their ability. The community doesn't matter. We as politicians are the ones who come with the issue of community because we want to clothe ourselves with the votes from our backyards before we move forward. It's not about where you come from. It's about who you are and your actions. That's what we must be looking for.
The implementation of the Constitution is key in making sure that we have a just country where everything is important. Yet in the Constitution that we have, you look at independent bodies. Parliament says today they are unable to do their job because for some weird reason, state capture. Judiciary is there as well, going through the problems and whatnot. What will it take for this Constitution finally to work for Mwananchi?
It will take you and me, and it will take appointments of people who are capable. The judiciary has checks and balances. The check and balance of the judiciary is the Judicial Service Commission. If you corruptly means bending the law to appoint people who should never be near a Judicial Service Commission, the result you get is the judiciary we have. Because then the appointments even of the officers will be skewed. Presently, we have some very good judicial officers. We have terrible judicial officers as well. You never can get it right 100%, but we should not have a situation where the bad almost overpowers the good. We see sparks of light in decisions sometimes among the magistrates. We become more steady at the High Court, although we also have terrible ones in the same High Court, because are our rights protected? Are we protected from abduction? Do you feel that? I don't think we do. We have some very good judicial officers in the Court of Appeal. I am unable to see light when you go up to the Supreme, because the work done by the High Court and by the Court of Appeal is somehow getting a reversal without jurisprudential, something to convince us
Otherwise,
that it is good judgment coming from SCOC. And I'll just give one example. The 2023 finance bill, rejected by the High Court as unconstitutional, rejected by the Court of Appeal as constitutional, somehow sanitized by the Supreme Court without them boldly overturning the ruling that it's unconstitutional. So some contradiction there. Yeah. So what I would say is that for institutions to work, those appointed to those institutions are the ones who make it. Even though the word independent is written in the Constitution, the institution will be as independent as your mind. Kindly, dear professionals, don't apply for a job you can't do. And if you apply and get there and find it's too hot, please go home. Let other Kenyans take it up. There are enough Kenyans who can do it. Whether it is a political job or a professional job, leave us alone. Kenyans can get other people to do it.
I mean, our time is winding down, but I've got to ask you this as we go towards, the end of that, is that, so now what is the chatter about? That whether a deputy CJ was then able to call the case against Now, who is one that, you are in the same circles with, and that is a former deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, that whether his case should have been called by a deputy, whether it shouldn't have been, whether he did have the right to remain. What are your thoughts around all of
that? That
this?
decision was wrong of upholding a bench constituted by the Deputy Chief Justice when the Chief Justice is within the country, when she has not been left acting. It would create chaos in the world even of common sense, where the headmaster is in the school and the deputy makes a decision for the headmaster. The headmaster has not gone on a journey and left him acting. You cannot have that situation, even from a common sense point of view. So what that means, therefore, is that that bench was not properly empowered, and therefore the orders that emanated from it need to be reversed. It means when the next bench is formed, they may arrive at a decision different from that. And even if they were to validate the actions done, it means in the interim, Kindiki becomes illegitimate. He's an illegitimate DP. Okay? And it means the person, because those are the orders that paved way to the swearing before the case could be determined. Remember, the case has not yet been determined. So it means the substantive DP in office is none other than the second deputy president of the Republic, Rigathi Gachagua. He is impeached because up to there, the decision has to come and be reversed by the court. But it means it is not time to appoint any other person
in the interim.
So we are in that limbo. And Kindiki knows it as a lawyer. He is illegitimate.
My goodness.
That decision illegitimized him. And those of us, I'm sure even from a common sense of view, who saw the court quickly allowing the swearing in, instead of utilizing that time to quickly determine the question. Because what comes before? Is it the chicken or the egg? They should have determined the legitimacy of the impeachment without delay before anybody else is sworn in. The country was not in any crisis
at that time.
Yeah.
Martha Karua, thank you so much for being here with us this morning. It's interesting to get your views on all of these issues, as well as, the last bit and what we push for. And to have these conversations all the time is what is absolutely necessary. Thank you so much for being here. Martha Karua is the party leader of the People Liberation Party. She's been our guest this hour. Good morning. It's 2 minutes past 8.